China wants to see, that's our reading, they want to make Asia a unipolar Asia, in the sense Asia dominated by only China is not acceptable to us. Asia belongs to China, Asia belongs to India, Asia belongs to Indonesia, Asia belongs to Vietnam, Asia belongs to Japan, Asia belongs to Russia, Asia belongs to Iran, and so many other countries. So therefore, I think the problem that we face is China is a very interesting country. What they have achieved is wonderful. And actually, I must compliment and congratulate Victor for that. But the question is, it's a very difficult country to understand. Let me give you one example. According to my own reading, not India, my own reading, China doesn't have a single friend on the planet, not a single friend.
欢迎来到胤蓝智库。在多极化加速的今天，同为拥有14亿人口的超级大国，中国与印度究竟是共同繁荣，还是必然进入结构性的零和博弈？今天我们要解构一场堪称降维打击的外交终极辩论。对话双方一边是深谙大国外交逻辑的中国深度智库学者高志凯，另外一边则是试图在东西方之间左右逢源的印度代表纳伦德拉。在这场交锋中，印度代表试图用西方经典阵营的对抗视角，抛出一个尖锐的伪命题。他指责中国在世界上一个朋友都没有，试图将中国塑造成一个寻求亚洲单极霸权的国家。而高志凯先生的反击克制理性，且字字击中要害。中国作为全球150多个国家最大的贸易伙伴的客观事实，重塑了现代国际关系中互相依赖的境遇，更在关键时刻直接抛出联合国安理会一票否决权的纪元铁律，以最平淡的语气击碎了印度外交的终极野心。究竟是什么样的对话让这位印度代表在最后时刻失去了学者的体面与克制，彻底走向了语无伦次？让我们直接进入这充满权力博弈的实况现场。
A lot of people saying China wants a China-centric Asia, a unipolar Asia led by China, which India would not like. Earlier on, I was attending your geostrategic session. You were talking about multipolarity, but China has yet to convince the world, perhaps, that it's serious about that. Again, do you see a warming of relations with India, or has that always been there? Let's see what your thought is on that question.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be here attending not only this luncheon discussion, but also the Energy Forum itself. I'm very honored and very privileged to share with you some of my views. First of all, yes, indeed, China-Indian relations are warming. But what is the common denominator for China and India, in addition to everything else? I coined the term superpopulations. In the world of today, there are only China and India, each with a population of 1.4 billion people. And for the foreseeable future, probably all the way up to 2100, China and India will remain the only two superpopulations in the world. Superpopulation means a country with a population of 1 billion or 1 billion plus. That means both China and India, the only two superpopulations in the world, have tremendous amount of responsibility for ourselves, for each other, and for mankind as a whole. Now, indeed, there are some problems in China-Indian relations, but allow me to set the record straight. The problems, especially territorial disputes between China and India, which do exist, are not created by either India or China. They were the leftovers from the British colonists when they ruled Indian subcontinent as the British Indian Empire. Now,
if we start going down the road of the British Empire, I don't think we'll end. But let me ask you, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Gao, on that point of the border, I mean, that is really the crux which has sort of kept the issue between the two countries. We'll go down to economics in a minute. But that territorial dispute, do you see that being resolved? Is that what it will take to see a long-term strategic change in the relationship between the two countries?
But I would say the territorial dispute, which was left over by Mr. McMahon, who drew the line, which was taken by India to be the border between China and India, and which China refused, sooner or later it needs to be resolved. But the territorial dispute between China and India is not the totality of China-Indian relations. I think when you talk about economics, in 1978, the size of the Indian economy and the Chinese economy were more or less on a par with each other. But as of now, the size of the Chinese economy is more or less about 5 times as big as the Indian economy. Whereas China has become one of the most highly developed industrialized economy, Indian economy still has great potential to go before it fully becomes an industrialized economy. That means China and India can really benefit each other by helping each other. And I always told my friends in India, China is not an enemy of India. If you think about the war between China and India, the real enemy is the Himalayas, which is the mighty mountain. And Indian side should not really pick a fight against the Himalaya mountain.
Okay.
That gives us all the reason to be friends with each other.
Friends, okay, let's take that. Economic friends, and back to you, Narendra. I mean, you are highly reliant on China's friendly economic supply chain to India. That is obviously something that you would not easily give up, and so we are maintaining the peace between the two on a geopolitical spectrum. But where do you see that going? Does that put India in a difficult position when it comes to geopolitical relations with China, and indeed with both of the countries' posture with the US as well?
Well, as you know, that we have a very interesting partnership with China, economical, industrial areas, and so many other things. But at the same time, the fact remains, we don't look upon China as a developed country, as Victor said. China is a developing country. Look at China's per capita GDP. It's very small. It's number 50 on the global list. And we think there's so many issues and problems that we actually, we can benefit from each other's experience. The question is that, I think the biggest Himalaya, of course, there are some issues on the border and all that. And there is work in progress, negotiations are happening. But the real challenge is that China wants to see, that's our reading, they want to make Asia a unipolar Asia, in the sense Asia dominated by only China is not acceptable to us. Asia belongs to China, Asia belongs to India, Asia belongs to Indonesia, Asia belongs to Vietnam, Asia belongs to Japan, Asia belongs to Russia, Asia belongs to Iran, and so many other countries. So therefore, I think the problem that we face is China is a very interesting country. What they have achieved is wonderful. And actually, I must compliment and congratulate Victor for that. But the question is, it's a very difficult country to understand. Let me give you one example. According to my own reading, not India, my own reading, China doesn't have a single friend on the planet. Not a single friend. They have proxies, they have clients. They don't have a friend. Not a single friend.
Can I just interrupt you there? Let's talk about, is Russia a friend? Because Russia, both of you, is a supplier of oil, especially to India. You've been taking 30% of your imports versus 1% a couple of years ago. President Trump has told India that you're funding the Ukraine war because of so much Russian oil being taken in India. Let me just go to Victor with that. You also do take some Russian oil, maybe not as much as India. Victor, is that a sticking point in your posture with the US, for example, or in your posture with the trade negotiations with the US that China might be having?
Well, actually, Narendra is right, partially on one point. In China, we always worry that if we do not have enough friends, we keep worrying about that. Whereas the United States seems to be worried that if they do not have enough enemies in the world. So we always worry if we do not have enough friends.
There's no worry
and
there.
If anyone sitting in this August hall wants to be a friend of China, raise your hand and you will have my full support. That's number one. Number two is to have a friend. I think if China is not a friend with the rest of the world, China cannot be the largest trading nation with more than 150 countries in the world. Not only India depends on China for supplies of all kinds, more than 150 countries in the world have China as the largest trading nation. Tell me, any country can be the largest trading nation with so many countries in the world if it's not friendly with all the other countries, if it does not treat other countries with respect and deals with you on equal terms, if it keeps holding a gun at your head. Do you want to have a friend like that? No way. So China believes the whole world should be a friend of China. And China is so eager to be your friend. And China is also very eager to be a friend with India, as I hope Narendra will treat me as his personal friend.
Okay, I mean, Narendra, I hear you. Just put your mic very close so we can hear every word you're going to say. And respond. I hear you wanting to respond to Victor, but also I'd like you to address friendships within the sort of larger context of the BRICS group, which is expanding. Of course, it includes both countries, but that's also... do you see this as a new geostrategic powerhouse, if you like, going forward?
You see, when I say China doesn't have a friend, I mean, in general terms, just because I'm buying something from somebody, I don't necessarily become a friend. If we live in a modern world, interdependence is the key. So interdependence for commodities in the sector, industrial sector, or the technology sector, it doesn't necessarily mean a friend. You see, the question is that, you know, when I said China lacks friends, so China does a single friend, ask people in the neighborhood of China. Okay, let's move on at the same to answer your question. At the same time, we are a very large country. You know, we have our own kind of, you know, vision of the world. And we are going to collaborate with China, whether they call us friend, they call us enemy, they call us by any name, wherever we think is necessary. Wherever they are ready to sell us what we want to buy, and you know, we will do that. And there are blocks, for instance, we are part of the Quad. Quad is United States, India, Australia, and Japan. At the same time, we are SCO, you know, which is a Shanghai-based organization, you know, and all that. And there is a perception that, you know, it's kind of China plays a very important role there. And we have no problem with that. So we will shake hand with China wherever necessary. If that's in our national interest, we'll shake hand with Russia wherever we think is necessary. And, you know, we will be part of Quad if we think that tomorrow we need to create our own Quad. Let's say with China together, India, China, and Russia come together to make our world a safer and better place. We will do that. So you see, it's multi-alignment, it's multipolarity. The question is that, you know, the biggest challenge that we face, and I'm being very honest, Victor, here with you. I don't want to play with words. I'm being very honest, that can we trust China? You see, we have been friends with China for if you look at the history, 1950s, we used to call China not a friend, a brother. Hindi, Chini, bhai, bhai, that was the slogan. And they attacked us in 62.
Okay, Victor.
So now, just to conclude, just one line.
Okay.
Now the problem that we face is we want to be friends, we want to do more business. Our biggest and the challenge is, can we trust China?
Okay, Victor, trust. Let's put your mic very close so we can hear every word, please.
Thank you very much. In front of this august body with all the majesties and excellence, I just want to make one point. Narendra, I trust you and I treat you as a friend. But you know, the biggest political ambition of India now is to become a permanent member state of the United Nations Security Council. Let me tell you, if India does not treat China as a friend, India will never be a permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations. Why? Because China has a veto power. China will never support any country in the world to become another permanent member state.
This is the real face of China.
So
this is the real...
another permanent member state.
This is the real face.
It is not a friend of China. Narendra, tell Prime Minister Modi, tell the Indian government.
This is the real face of China.
Treat China as a friend before you have any chance to become a permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations.
No, look. You see,
treat China as a friend. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Those who have history of diplomacy.
Pour water for anyone if I do not consider her or him as my friend.
Narendra, back to you.
That's not the issue. The point, just listen to me. You see the point, those who know the history of diplomacy, when China became People's Republic of China, as you know the history, and India helped China to become permanent member of the Security Council. We helped. Now the question is, we helped. And now the question is that now here in this room in Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, my friend from China, who is not an ordinary Chinese, he says that, look, this is kind of a threat. Now the question is that India wants to be permanent member of we have 1.4 billion people. the point here is that the only country that's coming in the way, the only country, US is okay, France is okay, Russia is very okay, all other countries. Only country that's not letting India become the permanent member of the Security Council is called People's Republic of China. Now this is the problem.
Because you do not treat
how
China
can you
as a
trust,
friend.
How can you trust such a country?
Allow me to
We
add
want
that,
to trust China. We want to do more business with China, but there are two things very clear. We will not allow a unipolar Asia. Is not going to happen. We will never let that happen.
Okay.
Number two, the question is that we and China, if we work together, if China and India work together, we can change the face not only of Asia, of the entire world. That's the potential. But they have to help us to trust them. Trust is the biggest challenge.
Okay, that comes back to the border probably issue. Okay, Mr. Gao, last words, and I have one more question to put to both of you.
China is opposed to unipolarity in the world as well as anywhere else in the world, in Asia in particular. So don't get me wrong. China is not seeking unipolarity in Asia. China does not allow any other country to seek unipolarity in the world of today. Do you know why? Because the international order we're living through, founded back in 1945, was meant to be multipolar. You mentioned India supported China. No, China sacrificed 35 million people, and China fought its way to create the international order we live in today. That's why China was the permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations.
Okay.
China fought against
I'm not,
fascism.
we can't accept the Chinese Chinese version of world history. That's the Chinese version.
Miranda, if you do not have enough understanding of history, you can go back to school to study history.
I don't think we're being very friendly here.
I'm happy to go back to school, but not to the Chinese school of history.
Okay, can I just I have one more question. I have one more question.
Its place.
Any other school.
I think
Permanent member state of the Security
the
Council of the
Security
United
Council
This is
Nations.
the main issue.
Period. Trust.
I hold the floor. Yes, yes.
Macmahon line is the border between China and India.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
the
Gao.
only thing.
Thank you,
Don't get
Mr.
angry.
Taneja.
Don't get
Thank you.
agitated.
Thank you. The
I'm from the
Security
country of
Council,
Gandhi. We
the
believe in
Security
peace. Don't get
Council
agitated.
of the UN needs a lot of reform, I think we would all agree, beyond China and Indian interests. One more question, let's get current. I wanted a quick 1-minute update from each of you. Where do the US-India trade relations or trade negotiations stand today? 1-minute answer, please.
Very easy. You see the question, I think if you could rephrase your question, not the United States of America, Trump. There is a difference between Donald Trump and the United States of America. Yeah. We have some issues there, but US is a democracy, India is a democracy. Our negotiators are on the table. We're trying to sort out this issue because for us, United States is a very important country. Western Europe is a very important country. When you look at, for instance, India's political ideology, philosophy, directions, and future, you see a lot of alignment between India and Western Europe, Japan, Australia, and the United States. There is a bit of setback there thanks to President Trump. We very much hope that President Trump would be able to see through the mist and able to work for better relations. But at the same time, for us, as far as we are national interest concerned, United States is important, so is China, so is Russia, so is Indonesia, so is United Arab Emirates. So wherever, you see, is our national interest. If it's in we'll try our best, but at the same time, if President Trump wants us to sign on the dotted line, that will never, ever happen.
Okay, Mr. Gao, how damaging has the yo-yo of these trade negotiations been on China's economy this year?
First of all, I would advise India to treat President Trump as the President of the United States, as the Commander-in-Chief. In that position, all of us here need to give Mr. Trump the full respect he deserves as the head of state, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. Secondly, India can do better if you learn from Pakistan. Pakistan treated Trump as he is, the field marshal of the army, chief intelligence or chief of staff, treated Trump as he deserves. Therefore, they get top-notch respect from Washington. If Narendra, if Prime Minister Modi, if the Indian government
I want to hear from you about China.
President Trump as he is, you will get better treatment in the world.
Just one line.
China deals with Trump as he is. Not less, not more than the head of state as the commander-in-chief of the US military. Therefore, despite of all the vicissitude in the world, China-US relations hold the course. and China will never give in to maximum pressure from Washington.
Okay.
But China will not shortchange the United States for all the respect the United States will get. I personally supported President Donald Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want to declare
Oh my gosh, no, okay.
in front of this August
I'm
body,
afraid, gentlemen,
I
thank you. A
supported
round of
Trump
applause.
getting
2 points.
Nobel
A
Peace
round of
Prize.
No, 2
applause,
points.
please, for Mr. Taneja
2 points.
and Mr. Gao.
let
We
me
have
complete.
to wrap
Just
it up.
quickly, very
Otherwise,
quickly.
people are going to get very hungry.
Number one, President Trump is not going to get Nobel Peace Prize. Number two important is
That is
as
his
far as,
view,
you see,
not my
as,
view.
As far as
Tell Washington it's not
No,
Victor
just
Gao's view.
Last line. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan is our neighbor. We were the one same country until very recently. How to deal with Pakistan, we know better. We don't need any advice from any other country, including China. Let us first, China, learn to respect Pakistan and the people of Pakistan. And let Chinese first start learning the faith that they follow. They must know the faith that they follow and respect that faith and understand a bit of that faith.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Another round of applause.
欢迎回来，这绝非简单的口舌之战，而是两国在地缘战略上剧烈冲撞。印兰智库认为，这段视频至少向我们揭示了2个深层的逻辑。首先是对国际盟友认知的降维打击。印度代表口中的朋友，带着浓厚的冷战色彩，而高志凯先生阐述的是基于务实主义的利益命运共同体。在现代社会中，深度嵌合的全球产业链、经济互赖本身就是最高级别的战略互信。印度试图在经济上依赖中国供应链，在安全上又加入美日印澳来挟制中国。这种既要又要的做法，本质上是反映了其对绝对实力差距的战略投机。其次是国力权力分配的残酷真相。视频中最高浓的博弈莫过于入场之战。印度代表试图用历史旧账在道德上占据高检，但高志凯先生的回击揭示了国际政治是最硬核的潜台词。印度的全球政治地位想要争极其中，唯有获得中国的首肯。安理会的席位和否决权不是施舍，而是靠二战中3500万人的巨大牺牲打出来的秩序基石。印度想要绕过中国去获取全球顶层权力，在逻辑上是个死结。穿透这场纷乱的对话，我们看到是重塑的大国竞力与区域大国地缘焦虑的真实落差。多极化世界不是靠在论坛上辩论出来的，而是靠扎实的工业能力走出来的。在未来的亚洲大棋局上，你认为印度能否有能力突破自身战略的天花板，真正成为多极世界中独立的一极呢？欢迎在评论区留下你深度的见解。这里是印兰智库，客观拆解复杂的世界，我们下期见。